What's going on, everybody? It's her back again. So basically, I had a little comment in a previous video asking me to go over my UI. So I want to go ahead and do that for you guys in this video. So I'm going to create a new character. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to create a warrior. And I'm just naming him whatever. So I want to go over how I set up my UI. For all my characters. This is for all my characters. Alrighty, so now that we're in the game, we're gonna be loaded with all your add-ons. So first things first, we're gonna disable all our add-ons, reload the UI, and I'm gonna go over the add-ons that I use to create my UI. We're gonna be using Bartender. Bartender is one of the add-ons that I use. For my UI, we're going to be using Details. Because Details is another part of the UI. I'm going to use Hiding Bar, which hides all the buttons that you see up on the map and put them into a nice little bar that will hide. I also use Leatrix Maps, Leatrix Plus, Mask. I stopped using Pratt. Quartz is the next one that I use. Questy as well. Sexy Map, which makes my map square the way I like to use it. Taco Tip, Threat Plates, Weak Auras, but that's a whole nother video, you know, setting up weak auras and stuff. I also like to use WoW thick frame. But for this instance, we're going to use WoW unit frame. They're the same, it's just that one gives you a thick health bar, another one gives you a normal looking health bar. Well, you know what, let's go with WoW thick frames. And I use the Instant Messenger add-on along with Bagnon and Deja classic stats. Go ahead and reload the UI. So basically, we have basically all the add-ons that we need for our UI. So first add-on I want to show you is Hiding Bar. I already have it set up and it already knows where I want it to be, and I have it in the top center up here. When I hover my mouse up here, you're gonna see the buttons, or the buttons that you would normally see on the map. You're gonna see them all right here, but it keeps it in a nice clean place, and that's why I like to use that add-on called Hiding Bar. So let's set up Bartender here. Bartender really cleans the whole setup up. So we're gonna get all our bars. I'm gonna show you what I need to do, what I do for my UI. So I usually like to start from the bottom. So the Blizzard art bar, I disabled the art bar. The XP bar, put it up here for now. Reputation bar, I disable it. Vehicle bar, we're gonna move this here for right now, just so I know where it's at. Microbar. The microbar is this bar right here, and I usually like to put it on the top left. And the bag bar, I disable. But let's go back to the XP bar. The XP bar, I usually like to scale it down to about 0.9 or 0.8. I think 0.8 is a pretty good spot, and if you would have used this add-on before, you can tell that it has like snap points. So I usually snap it to the top center, and then I position it. I change the Y offset slightly lower so that I get the full view of the XP bar. And then what I like to do is I like to fade it out for about 50%. That's where I keep the XP bar. Next one is the microbars. The microbar is same. I like to scale it down to about 0.9 or 0.8. Let's do 0.9. I like to fade it out, and I like to fade it out completely to 0%. It'll still show once you hover your mouse over it, but if you don't have your mouse hovered over it, it won't come up. Vehicle bar, we're gonna hold off on that. We're not gonna move it just yet. Okay, stance bar. Where is my? We're gonna hold off on that as well. Pet bar. Pet bar right up here. So let's start with bar 1. Bar 1, obviously your main bar. And I usually like to scale that down to 0.9. Yep. Right about to 0.9. Change the padding to 1. And that's how I like to my bars, nice and small. So I'm gonna go ahead and activate bar 2 and 3. Okay, bar 2 is already active. Sorry, bar 3 was already active. So bar 2, again, we're gonna scale it down to 0.9, change the padding to 1, and we're gonna put it right above. Bar 3. Normally bar 3 is one of the ones up over here to the right. But we're gonna change this from vertical to horizontal just by changing the row from 12 to 1. Reduce the scale down to 9.9 and the padding to 1. That's how I like to have bar 3. And then after that is the pet bar. Usually like to keep the pet bar right above those, and I'll just keep it the way it is. Bar 4 is the other bar right vertical. I usually like to put like my Hearthstone and food and other professions on this bar. So usually I like to change this to have 2 rows. Still 12 buttons, but just 2 rows. That's just 2 rows of 6. Again, I'll change the padding to 1, scale down to the 9, and we're gonna place it up here just for now until I get this details add-on set up. Bar 5 and 6 I don't use. I disable bar 5 and 6, and that cleans up my add-on pretty well. So that's how I keep a bartender. After I do that, we're gonna set up these guys, our player frames. So you can use another add-on called centered. Here it is, centered. Let's use that actually, and that'll center it down here. And let's move it a little bit because I don't like it down too low. Let's go to centered and let's bring the height a little bit about right there. You can roughly see where the weapon swing timer add-on is, and that's usually where I like to keep it. And then we can change the height. We change the gap. Usually like to keep it same distance. You can see how the swing timers are right in between two player frames. So that's what I usually like to keep my my player frames. So now let's go back to bartender. Let's move our stance bar right above our player frame, and that's usually how I keep my player frames. Alrighty, so now with Leatrix Plus, gives you the option to easily unlock and move that window. I usually like to keep it pretty low down there. I'll lock it again and then change the background a little bit up to about halfway. I like it like to be a little bit dark so I can see the text. So that's how we have the chat. This is how we have our player frames. Our swing timers are in here. And we're getting close to finishing up. I want to next mess around with the details here. But we're gonna add a new window, create a new window. See if we can attach it to this guy. Creates this. And I want to add another one, create a new window, attach it here as well. But then I want to break the group just so that I can make 3 equal size windows. The 3 equal size windows, we're going to attach it here. And then we're going to individually change the skin, the save skin Legion beta. That kind of makes them almost invisible. I don't see that. Kind of makes them almost invisible. But once you have that right there, I like to create test bars. And most of the time when you're leveling, you're only gonna see about 5 players. We're pretty much almost 5, almost always 5. Well, that changes so that it only shows the top 5. Okay, so we have that. And I'm gonna break this top window. I'll put this down here. And this one right next. Right there. So now we have 3 windows, but all 3 are damaged. But I only want my top one here to be damaged. The one in the corner here, I want to change it healing. And this one here, I want to change it to threat. So this one on the bottom left is going to be my threat meter. Bottom right is my healing. Top right is going to be my damage done. Then I'll lock them. Lock. So now they're all locked in place. So let's go back to bartender. Now that we have bartender ready, I like to get bar 4 and place it right above this this top sales bar. And there we go. That's how I set up my details. Once we're through with that, then we can go to sexy map. So let's look for sexy map. I usually start with a default of simple square. Say yes. We're gonna have it clamped to the screen so that it doesn't go past the screen. So first thing I normally do is I get the zone text and I put it down. Then I get this guy and I put it all the way to that corner there. Then after that I get my background. I disable it so that it gets rid of the that silver background that it has. So I take it out. And here's normally where if you have something that can buff you immediately, it makes it easier. But if not, then normally Leatrix Plus lets you look at your buff frame, and it looks like I can still enlarge this map about right about this area here, so that kind of lines up nicely next to my buff bar. So let's go ahead and scale this about right there roughly. And double check with Leatrix Plus. Looks like we can go just a little bit larger. About 1.43 in my case. Look again. And that's about right there. Well, 1.43 is where I like to have it, and that's where I like to have my, that's the size of my map that I like to keep. And then go back to zone text, push it back up, remove the backgrounds, remove background, change font color to white, and have the zone text only show when you hover over your map. So when you hover over your map, it'll show up. As you can see, the north tag kind of covers over the text. So what I like to do under the main setting, I like to remove the north tag. So then when I hover over, it shows the area that I'm in. Buttons, you don't have to worry about the buttons, because hiding bar takes care of all the buttons. Coordinates, I like to disable coordinates. You can have them if you want, but I like to personally disable them. And then with clock, first thing I like to do is disable the background, the borders. Then I change the positioning to the bottom left of it. And then I give it an outline, thin outline. And you can change the font if you. That's normally how I like to keep my map. And that's how I keep a very clean square map. I feel like it gives you a larger area to view. You know, you can view more. But once you have that, let's accept the quest here. And here's where Questy comes in. So Questy naturally already gives you the perfect size right here. You can see Questy, you can adjust this so that, you know, it kind of all lines up with the edge of this map. All right here, and you can even do that with your details if you want. If you want it all to line up perfectly in just this area right here. But that's normally how I like to have it, and that's pretty much my UI. That's normally how I like to keep my UI right there. So with WoW unit frames, you can use class colors or you cannot. Say for instance, if you don't want to use class colors, it'll just give you a green health bar. You can change it from light to dark. See, I changed it to light and then choose dark. And then, you know, you have your weapon swing timer. If you don't want to look at your weapon swing timer all the time, you know, you can change the auto combat alpha to 0 so that you don't see nothing. Oh, this guy is giving me armor. Bro. Nice, he gave me some nice armor. Appreciate it. This is just a test account, but you know, thank you very much. So this is practically my UI, guys. That's normally how I like to keep it. I think it's very clean, very simple. It tells you everything that you need to know. And another thing I like to, under the raid, I like to use the raid style frames. And I like to display class colors, take away borders, and show player power bars. But when you become, you know, when you join a party, it'll come up in like a raid style frames. And other than that, that's pretty much my UI. Thanks everybody.